Hi, Sai.
Hello.
Hi. This week I want to ask you about something that goes deep down into your deepest, darkest desires.
Okay.
And it's related to this week's film.
Okay.
I want to talk to you this week about your childhood celebrity crushes.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, like putting me on the spot here.
Well, that is the point of the cold open, isn't it?
All right. Well, without not related to anything else, Josh, could you just go and just take off the headphones and just go and do the dishes and leave the podcast running for no reason?
Yeah, I don't have to worry because my wife doesn't listen.
Well, there you go. Don't listen.
Our mother's listening, by the way. So yeah, that's
none. No one. I didn't have any desires in
Neither
childhood.
did I. Roll the intro.
So, well, I was actually thinking that maybe this is something you were going to ask me.
Really?
I thought so.
What made you think that?
It's her.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah. Oh, well, there were Bond girls too.
Of course, there were Bond girls. I mean, how can there not be Bond girls?
I think just Jennifer Connelly is like, now that I'm like in the zone of this movie.
Was she your first?
For sure. I don't know. She maybe because Labyrinth as well. I mean, she was younger. But
she was younger, but you were.
I was
younger,
younger, and I was like, oh, she's pretty.
Yes.
But this movie has a lot of clavage.
Yeah, I mean, not to be crass, but that's the kind of thing that that gets young boys' attention.
Exactly.
And since we're talking about nostalgia, that is a very real part of childhood.
What, clavage?
No. Noticing clavage
Oh, I
and
see.
celebrity crushes. When I was a young lad, it sounds like I was a milkman in Poland in the 1800s.
Do you think that Poland in the 1800s is the only place where they had a milkman?
No,
and also you wouldn't have been a milkman. You would have been a boy, a milk boy.
A milk boy.
Oh, that sounds wrong.
I'm speaking specifically about Anatevkan.
Oh, I
see. Yes, I see.
A puck, a bench, a stick, a hat. I don't know the words, but that's
a hat.
Who could be mistaken? So derailing.
Whoa. Okay, that freaks me out.
I know.
The dream sequence of Fiddler on the Roof.
Don't talk about the dream sequence of Fiddler on the Roof.
Don't talk about the dream sequence. No, because that gets in my head, and then I put my head on the pillow, and that song repeats in my mind.
So let's just pretend it didn't happen, and we'll move backwards.
Right. So when I was a young lad, I remember seeing a certain episode. Yes, Okay, this has gone to pieces.
Just out my mouth. The coffee came out.
Yeah.
Gross.
I can see it all over your pop filter. Fantastic.
Lovely. So please continue with the...
So there was a certain episode of Mork and Mindy that involved a certain Raquel Welch, who was also in The Three Musketeers and The Four Musketeers, as directed by Richard Lester in the 70s. And I had a massive crush on her. What happened was I must have been about 6 or 7. She was seducing Mork. She'd captured him. Mm-hmm. She was seducing him with her female lackeys, as it were.
Nanu.
Yeah, and she was wearing something extremely revealing. Mm. And this was Mork and Mindy. Okay, we're not talking about like Channel 5 after midnight, okay?
Does Channel 5 after midnight, did it
well,
have...
I mean in the late 90s, Channel 5 after midnight was... Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't exactly a
safe
prestigious prestigious channel like say BBC Two. But yeah, so we're talking Mork and Mindy. So I mean like and that was my first sort of realization of the female form, as it were. But Jennifer Connelly, I remember Yeah.
Do you know who else I had a crush on? Was Famke
Janssen.
Mm-hmm. Because in GoldenEye, she was scary in GoldenEye, but that scene at the casino...
She got turned on by machine gunning a whole bunch of people down at once.
That did it for me. And
You've got problems.
No, but X-Men was, I think, the...
I see.
Because she's wearing the leather.
Yeah. Elizabeth Hurley and Austin Powers as well.
Yeah. Oh, Catherine Zeta-Jones in Zorro.
Right, indeed.
Do you want to continue talking about your pubescent boner, or?
I'm not sure why I chose this subject. Because
I know why you chose this subject, because you're a perv, is why you chose this subject.
Okay, fine.
Just roll the fucking intro.
All right.
What's our seat number?
Hello and welcome to What's Our Seat Number, the movie podcast that asks questions like, what's the most visceral movie experience ever? The answer is, of course, M. Night Shyamalan's Old, because when you're done watching it, you too will feel as if you've aged 50 years in 2 hours. I'm Jonny Gross, director of such classics as Promo Version 6, Final 27, Variation 12, Final 18, Definitely Final, this time 23, and the upcoming thriller Promo 2, this time it's Final. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host and brother, who once caught a bullet with his bare hands, a legend all over Hong Kong, physical and emotional wreck and closeted 3D graphic artist, it's only Simon Gross. We have a fantastic show for you this week, as we're going to be talking about an all-time favourite of ours, 1991's The Rocketeer, starring Billy Hoo Campbell, Jennifer Connelly, and Timothy James Bond Dalton. Based on the 1982 comic book by Dan Stevens and directed by Joe Johnston of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Jumanji, and Jurassic Park 3 fame, this movie is just awesome. Are you excited for this one, Si?
It was epic.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I'm very excited for this movie. I have, oh god, it's like if you were to ask me what our joint favorite movie is that we would watch over and over again,
That thing you do.
no,
Groundhog Day.
no,
Ghostbusters. We have quite a lot. The Mask of Zorro.
forget I said anything.
But this is definitely one of those.
We watch this so much, and also when you like have the opening music, I always like get excited, and then the doors open, and you know the airfield, and you know, I've been
James Horner, fantastic.
Very, very, very excited about this. I was actually a little bit worried, as I told you, that there would be less for me to talk about, but there isn't. There's quite a bit of visual effects in this movie, and
they're innovative as well. They're very interesting. So, what's your context for this movie? What do you remember as far back as you can the first time you saw this movie?
I remember James Bond being the bad guy.
That's a big deal. That was a big deal for me as well. Yeah,
I remember being scared of Lothar. The scene where they shine a light on Mr. Bigelow, and he's been folded in half. That was scary. Also, Lothar killing the guy in the hospital.
Yeah,
who stashed the rocket. So I remember. So it's always when you ask me, the question shouldn't be what do you remember of this movie. It's what about this movie scared you when you were a child. But I think it was just so exciting. Like, just the idea of strapping a rocket to your back. It's fun.
And flying like a bat out of hell.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Really fun. And I just remember how much you enjoyed it. So obviously that sort of influenced how much I enjoyed it. I remember just watching it endlessly. You had it on tape.
I had it on VHS.
And then you had it on DVD and now on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And so I've watched every single version that you've had. So yeah, very exciting stuff. How about you?
I remember that there wasn't a lot of frisson about this movie when it came out. I remember seeing Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in the cinema. I remember seeing The Little Mermaid. I remember seeing Roger Rabbit. I remember seeing Back to the Future 3. All of those movies that I saw in the late 80s, early 90s all had tons and tons of advertising. There were always TV spots on TV, always like trailers all over the place and posters, and you get excited. But The Rocketeer I'd never heard of, and Mother and I, Mater and I, we were walking around Blockbuster, and it was on the bottom shelf. And this must have been like 1992. It was newish. Mm-hmm. And I picked it up and I looked at it and I...
Wait, did bottom shelf mean that it was bottom shelf? Like, did they put things on the bottom shelf for a reason?
I think so. They put all of the good stuff at sort of eye level, I guess.
Okay.
And when you're a kid, eye level is a lot lower. So
right.
I picked it up and it may have been the second to bottom shelf. I'm not sure, but anyway.
How stupid not to put this on the grown up.
But this was the thing.
Shelf.
It was not very well received, and it wasn't. There wasn't a lot of excitement around it. The marketing was very kind of. I think the big issue was the Art Deco poster, which a lot of people just didn't get at the time. And then they sort of re-released the poster as like that image that everybody has of the Rocketeer. Everybody remembers of the Rocketeer like going over the top of it with Timothy Dalton and Billy Campbell and Jennifer Connelly on the front with big wows, blowing up.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I have that in front of me.
You have it right in front of you. I'm like looking at it while you're describing it. I'm like, you're not looking at this, and you know it that well.
It's right there. Yeah. It's
were you looking at it while you?
No,
you weren't. You were looking at me.
I was looking at you. Yeah.
Because I'm delightful to look at.
You're bloody gorgeous.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I remember, and we rented it once.
Don't touch me.
We rented it once, and then we rented it again, and then again, and it would always be. Excuse me, Mother. I'm going to do an impression of you. But you've seen it, Jonathan. That was always the thing. And I was like, but I want this one. So we'd rent it again and again and again, and eventually, I don't know if I bought it when I was a little bit older. It was bought for me, but it's something that got a lot of wear and tear in the VCR.
Yeah.
And I have to say about Timothy Dalton, by the way, that you say that James Bond was the baddie. He got a lot of flack about not being comfortable. Saying the one-liners in the Bond movies, but in this movie he's chewing up the scenery, he's hamming it up, and he is loving it.
There's some questions that I have when we get to talking about the movie afterwards. I'm going to write it down as it happens because I want to see if I can pick out any more of those. But there are some moments where I'm like, is this a deliberate thing? Or is this like it just looks like it from his performance? I'll bring it up.
I think I know what you're going to ask, but anyway, we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, so before we get to the tagline game, I want to do a little bit of movie news.
Okay.
A little bit of business this week.
Do the jingle.
Okay. Movie news. An Under Siege reboot is in development. While there's no word at this time if original star Steven Seagal is returning, either in front of or behind the camera, the project is in the works at Warner Brothers with Timo Chanjahan. Okay. This is a fucking mess.
No, why? That was fine. Keep going.
Okay. So the plan is for the movie to head straight to streaming on HBO Max. What's going on? I couldn't pronounce the guy's name, so you're gonna... Okay.
The way you did it. Oh, sorry, I am good. I'm fine.
Yeah, okay.
Go.
You're right? Okay.
I'm fine.
All right. So...
Oh, no.
Okay, so everything's getting rebooted or remade or sequelized. I mean, our next week's movie... we can reveal is going to be Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is another sequel / soft reboot. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think about that? Do you think that Under Siege is a movie that deserves any kind of revisiting?
Couldn't give a fuck, Jones.
Well,
no, seriously, I'm telling you, I like every single time that I hear that there's a reboot or a remake or a reimagining, like they have been talking about rebooting The Rocketeer for a while.
There's already been an animated series on Disney.
No,
Junior.
but they're talking about like I don't know exactly what like a movie version. I don't care what form it takes. Leave it alone, please. I have this thing that is of its time. And you know what? Look, we talked about toxic fandom a few weeks ago.
Right.
I'm not one of those who I'm like, oh God, you're raping my childhood. First of all of you bastards, calm the fuck down. Okay? Your childhood is still there, even if they were to remake something and you didn't, like it, that's fine. Don't watch it. Watch the original. You're good. It's the same people who say, George Lucas, oh, you ruined my childhood. No, the original trilogy's still there. Leave it alone.
Is it though?
What do you mean? After he's cut it to shreds and remade it.
That's a whole nother podcast.
But, it's just very, I don't mind, so I'll talk about games for a second, right? When they remake a video game, it's usually of a game that has not aged very well, right? I mean, they're remaking your favorite, KOTOR. They're remaking Knights of the Old Republic, right? And they're doing it with next-gen consoles. And I'm very excited about that, and I'm going to buy that because I really love Knights of the Old Republic. But I haven't played it since I was a teenager, right? And that's the sort of thing where they're not going to actually change much, I don't think. Like, it's mostly going to be rebuilt from the ground up with better graphics. It'll probably have quality of life improvements. And that's the sort of thing that makes sense to me, right? So that you can keep playing your favorite games, but not have to look at it and go, oh, it hasn't aged well. Whereas with movies, it's like, why you're not bringing on the same actors and you're not redoing, like, it's you're remaking it and you're probably going to ruin it, and it's very strange to me. And also, Under Siege, who cares?
So that's the thing, specifically about something like Under Siege, it's like kind of a diehard knockoff anyway. So I don't see why it should really get the time of day. Okay, moving on.
Yep.
There's not a lot to talk about here, but I just wanted to mention it. That Mel Gibson is in talks to direct and star in Lethal Weapon 5 after original director Richard Donner's death. Originally, Richard Donner, he was 90. They were working on the script, and he was going to bring the two of them back, and they were going to make a Lethal Weapon 5.
Yeah.
I would have watched that. Because part of the charm of Lethal Weapon was Richard Donner.
Yeah.
And then having Mel Gibson come in and act and direct it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure
about it either, but I do think that it's better to bring him on. It's kind of like keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
Because he is a director.
Yes,
and he was there when Richard Donner. It could go one of two ways, but I think that if he were to respect the original sort of like vibe and vision, it might be something that you enjoy.
Right. It would probably end up being more of like a tribute to Donner. And
yeah.
Okay. Okay. The other thing I saw this week was that the Rock has put his hat in the ring to play James Bond.
Oh, heavens save us!
And he can step into the ring and take it out again. Thank you very much.
Brits are very
They
feel very strongly
yes.
about Americans taking on the role of James Bond.
No, but also like
it would look weird if he were. I mean, it would look.
It would
weird.
be fine if he played like
what, a villain? Is that what you're going to say?
No, well, that's the thing.
I also read
that Idris Elba. He's now 49 or something like that, and he said that he's in talks to play a villain in the new Bond movie because he's been in the running, not really in the running, but everybody's been talking about Idris Elba's going to play James Bond. It seems that everybody who's not going to play James Bond is going to play a villain. Henry Cavill as well.
He said he'd prefer to play a villain.
Yeah,
right?
It's not a bad thing that people chat about it, but for some reason it's pissing me off.
Do you know what's really annoyed me is that I saw that Tom Holland wants to be James Bond.
I saw an interview of Tom Holland talking about how maybe when he's a little bit older, he's going to play Spider-Man. And this was like years before he played Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It might be just like a little boy's wish, and we might be.
He's
fucked.
not a little boy anymore. He's
But that's the thing.
He
How
looks
is he still
so
playing
young.
a bloody teenager?
He looks really young, and I don't buy him as Nathan Drake. Move on.
Okay, next.
Oh,
final
poor
bit
bastard!
of news.
You were going to take a bite of cake. Why don't you do that?
No, that's okay. The final bit of news, and then we can step away from the movie news. Is it a corner? Is it a basement? Segment. Okay. Original Harry Potter trio will reunite for the HBO Max special. Another Friends reunion style thing. Director Chris Columbus wants to release a 3-hour cut of Philosopher's Stone. Every single director in Hollywood since Zack Snyder released Justice League, everybody wants a director's cut of a movie that they made years ago.
My pickle here is that the I was going to say my pet peeve, and then I was like my pet pickle, and I was like, just say pickle.
Your boggle.
My problem here is that I don't really need a 3-hour cut of the thing, but really, please don't bring James Corden to host the HBO. Please don't. I can't anymore.
Yeah,
he's so annoying.
Okay.
Stop. He also wants to. Didn't Chris Columbus say that he wants to make The Cursed Child with the adult cast?
Oh, they probably do. I don't know. I would
no,
say.
I mean they're now at the age where they could could do that. And
I think there's a running theme in this week's movie news that every single piece of news is about some kind of reboot or update or remake or sequel or something like that. And the basic consensus is leave it alone.
Yeah.
But the irony is that the two of us are probably going to be the first ones standing in fucking line. So whatever. Movie news. Drop page.
Lovely.
Thank you. That was movie news.
Our mother gets that reference.
It is time for the tagline game.
Oh, I don't need to do that because there's a background track of applause, isn't there?
Indeed, there is. Okay, so this week we are going to be playing the tagline game with the movie The Rocketeer. So your first tagline is From Zero to Hero.
Hercules?
No.
No?
It's not Hercules.
Is it...
Wait. Your second tagline is The Return of the Great Adventure.
Okay.
Your third tagline is An Ordinary Man Forced to Become an Extraordinary Hero.
Mm-hmm.
And your fourth tagline is, you'll believe a man can fly.
You'll believe a man can fly.
Which tagline is the Rocketeer?
Well, we're 2 for 2, so I don't mind getting this one wrong. Zero to Hero is, it's not, I mean, it's a song from Hercules, but I know that it's also from another movie. I want to hear what one that is, but anyway. What was I going to say? The second one, the Return of the Great Adventure, I think.
Is incorrect.
Oh.
The Return of the Great Adventure is the tagline for the film Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, shit. Didn't you already use that one?
No.
No?
I did not. The correct tagline for the Rocketeer. Do you want to like has
a second chance?
Guess? Yeah. I'll give you a second chance.
Read the other three again.
Okay.
It's not Zero to Hero.
Oh. From Zero to Hero, you'll believe a man can fly. An ordinary man forced to become an extraordinary hero.
Oh shit. Like, you'll believe a man can fly sort of sounds like something they would have put on Superman. I hate your poker face. Let's do the extraordinary hero one. Is incorrect.
Correct.
Yay! I didn't get a point though.
It's like getting a spare in bowling.
Hey, all right. That should be the sound. Zero to Hero. What is it? It's going to drive me crazy.
Is The Mask.
Oh yes! Damn it!
And you'll believe a man can fly is in fact Superman.
Oh, okay. Wait, do I get the other half of the point just for knowing that one? Or is that not how the game works?
Steve Reich. There you go.
Thank you so much. Not exactly 3 for 3, but I scraped together the point.
Okay.
Much like all of my grades in high school.
Indeed. Okay, now before we go and watch the movie, I think we should hear a word from one of our many sponsors.
Stop! Your well-being hinges on the following advertisement. What's Our Seat Number is sponsored by Creepy Basement Door Hinge Rust. The rust you find on the hinges of every creepy basement door, be you a murderer, child snatcher, or local eyebrow collector. Order 1 squeezy bottle of Creepy Basement Door Hinge Rust today and use the coupon code and receive a complimentary metal hook. Affixed to thine hand, you can make short work of those pesky teenagers who you know murdered you last summer. Creepy Basement Hinge Rust for your house, garage, basement, or vestibule hinge needs.
Very, very good. Let's go watch the movie.
Roll it.
That was awesome.
Yes, that's huge.
Bit of business, though. Bit of business.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I would. I said Dan Stevens instead of Dave Stevens. Dan Stevens is a a British actor who appeared in The Guest and Beauty and the Beast and
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. What's the show? Legion.
Yeah.
Yes, he was in Legion. And my pick for the next James Bond, actually, but nobody will listen to
Jonathan,
me.
He's blonde.
No.
Anyway,
yeah. I also said that the hanger on the front of the poster, on the front of the Blu-ray box, and the poster is called Big Wow because it looks like Big Wow, and I always used to think it was Big Wow, but it's actually Bigelow, obviously. I mean, obviously, because the guy who owns the hanger's name.
So all those people
Bigelow.
who are listening to this podcast with the Blu-ray right in front of them, scanning it, going, "That's not what it
says. How can we trust you?" So yes, there you go. How was that for you?
I enjoy that movie every time.
Of course.
But, enjoyed it a little bit more this time.
Why is that?
I was taking notes and noticing stuff, and Jennifer Connelly was in it this time.
All right. Ease up there. Go and have a cold shower.
Ease up. All the way through the movie, you're, That is the exact noise it quote. You made that sound.
It's just, memories.
Yeah.
Muscle memory, as it were.
Would you like to crack on?
I would love to crack on. Yes. So where do you want to start?
Don't know what's next.
Crazy casting with K's. This is the segment where I describe an actor who was up for a certain role in this movie, and Sai has to guess who the actor is.
I'm ready.
Number 1, this British actor was up for the role of Neville Sinclair. The velvet-voiced actor has voiced a disfigured Disney villain, fought for France's liberty, aided his orphaned ward, and sleazed after a 15-year-old girl. Who is it?
Again, but slower. A disfigured Disney villain.
A disfigured Disney villain, yes.
This is a cartoon villain?
Yes.
Okay.
Fought for France's liberty.
Fought for France's liberty.
Aided his orphaned ward.
Aided his orphaned ward, okay.
And sleazed after a 15-year-old girl.
Sleazed after a 15... What the hell is this shit? I'm trying to think of disfigured Disney villains. My brain's shutting down, mate. It's late. Alright, give it to me.
Okay. The answer is Jeremy Irons.
Oh, no.
Disfigured
Wait, okay, hang on. He
Disney
fought
villain.
for France's... In the Three Musketeers.
The Man in the Iron Mask.
Man in the Iron Mask. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Disfigured Disney villain is obviously...
Oh, damn it.
Aided his orphaned ward.
Aided his orphaned ward. Oh, Batman. Oh, no.
And sleazed after a 15-year-old girl. He played the main character in Lolita, in the remake.
Okay, I wouldn't have gotten that one, but damn it. All right, fine.
Yeah, but the rest of them, I gave you every chance.
Yeah, I know. No. This is on me.
Okay. Another British actor up for the villainous role of Neville, also with velvety, dulcet tones, made his debut in a non-speaking role trying to kill Roger Moore's 007, and has since upgraded to purposefully killing men and always paying his debts. Who is he?
Purposefully killing men. Oh, it's Charles Dance.
Hey!
I just killed a man and I did it on purpose.
Right, and which Roger Moore Bond film was he in?
What Roger Moore Bond film was he in?
He had a non-speaking part. He was a lackey. He was a henchman.
Not in one of the later ones.
Yeah, one of the later Roger Moore ones.
Wait, wasn't A View to a Kill?
No. Go back.
I don't bloody know.
It's For Your Eyes Only. It was
one
of his.
For Your Eyes Only?
He was a lackey. It was one of his first appearances ever. And obviously, always paying his debts.
I need to watch
he's
that.
a Lannister.
I need to watch that again now.
Up for the role of Cliff, this Australian-American actor has fallen out of favour of late, but is still a highly charismatic personality on screen, whether campaigning for freedom, being a loose cannon, or getting unique glimpses into the female mind.
Being a loose cannon.
Mm-hmm.
Getting glimpses into the female mind. Or?
Campaigning for freedom.
Australian-American actor?
Yes, indeed. You'll kick yourself.
No clue.
No clue? Do you want me to tell you the answer?
Well, otherwise we're just going to sit here in silence.
The answer is Mel Gibson.
He's Australian-American?
He is Australian-American. He campaigns for freedom. He is a loose cannon in Lethal Weapon.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And he gets a unique glimpse into the female mind in What Women Want.
Oh, this is horrible.
Okay, I've got another 2, so you got a chance to redeem yourself.
No, I don't. It's too late.
Okay, this big, famous movie star was considered for the role of Cliff, a child at heart, a cowboy, an insomniac on the West Coast, a record producer, and a man displaced. I write these myself.
Jonny, this is really hard.
Okay, I'll give you I'll read it again. This big famous movie star was considered for the role of Cliff, a child at heart.
Oh, it's Tom Hanks.
There you go.
Okay.
A cowboy. Mm-hmm. An insomniac on the West Coast. Sleepers in Seattle.
Oh, fucking hell. These are brilliant, Jonny.
A record producer in...
Was he a record producer in? Oh, in That Thing You Do.
Of course.
Oh.
And a man displaced in...
Man Displaced. Castaway? Oh, Terminal.
Yeah.
Castaway could have been...
Castaway could have been as well, but like it serves its purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, there's one more. I think you're going to get this because, yeah.
Oh, no.
It's fairly easy. This actor turned down the role of Eddie Valentine. He's been a burglar, a wise guy, and police informant. He's short in stature, but just don't tell him he's funny.
Joe Pesci?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so I redeemed myself a little.
Indeed. Okay.
That was horrible. Did you see that before when I didn't get the verse? I was leading against the pop filter in shame.
Okay, he's been a burglar in...
Home Alone.
A wise guy in...
Goodfellas
Casino.
Yeah.
Police informant in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
What was the line that he always says? What is it?
Okay.
It's not a line, is it? It's just a word.
No, that is that whole thing when they fuck you at the drive-thru. Okay. So that is Crazy Casting with K's.
Sorry, that was embarrassing. It's really interesting because the other day when we did this and it was daytime, I was like fully focused and I could see these and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh my goodness.
The weekends are a difficult period for
what
us
are you gonna
parents. Yeah. So before we take a quick trip to Trivia Corner, another word from one of our sponsors.
Let's go.
Do you ever run around the house with a screaming baby in your arms yelling, "Where the fuck is it?" Well, search no more. Buy our new and improved Pacifier, a pacifier with a state-of-the-art government-grade built-in GPS tracking system that will connect via Bluetooth to your very cell phone. Never again hunt with a torch under the couch, under beds, in the sink, in the toilet or down behind a chest of drawers. Now with new and improved Pacifier, you can pinpoint exactly where your child's pacifier is at all times. And that's not all. Plant the Pacifier on any person of your choosing, a spouse, a lover, even your teenage child, and you, yes you, can violate the rights of anyone around you. Order your pacifier now. Disclaimer: not FDA approved, governmentally sanctioned, or in any way legal.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Trivia Corner. Okay, so in the original graphic novel, the character of Jenny was actually Betty Page, who was Dave Stevens, not Dan Stevens, the creator of the comic book. She was his real-life friend.
Oh.
And she would not allow her name to be used in the film. This is an obvious one. During the fight on board the Zeppelin, Cliff says to Neville, "Where's your stuntman now, Sinclair?" To which Neville replies, "I do my own stunts." And this line is obviously in reference to Timothy Dalton's time as James Bond. Did you know he played James Bond?
No, it's news to me.
Since up to that point, since up to that point, he was known for being the only Bond actor to perform most of his own stunts.
Very good.
This is a What's Our Seat Number podcast universe connection. Originally was supposed to be preceded in theaters by a Roger Rabbit cartoon called Hair in My Soup. Unfortunately, the cartoon was never made. There you go. So now we have our own podcast universe.
I was going to connect to our podcast universe as well, so that's actually very good. Very good.
And the other thing is, you mentioned while we were watching the movie that that all of the characters look very much like their comic book counterparts. And apparently, Billy Campbell, who once studied commercial art, made sure to read the Dave Stevens graphic novel on which the film is based. He got the part after getting a haircut to make himself look identical to the character in the graphic novel, so that wasn't by accident. Okay, Lothar, who's played by an actor called Tiny Ron, was made up to look like Rondo Hatton, who played similar characters in B movies, which inspired this movie. As we posted a couple of pictures of Baron von Rotten.
Yes.
So I want to post a couple of pictures of Rondo Hatton and a couple of pictures of Lothar, because it's really quite uncanny.
You should also post...
the makeup is excellent.
Also post some pictures of what Lothar in the comics looks like, because he also looks very similar to you. Right, indeed.
If you remember in the intro, I said Bill Campbell. And the reason is because the decision to cast Billy Campbell as Cliff Secord caused mixed emotions among Disney executives. Joe Johnston and Dave Stevens believed Campbell was perfect for the role, and he was. But Disney wanted an A-list actor. Johnston eventually convinced Disney otherwise, which is a great thing because he's excellent in this movie. He's got just the right amount of naivety and can-do attitude and gee-whiz kind of energy. Soda. I have to wonder why he never became more of a household name.
I don't know, but I remember seeing him many years later in what was that show with James Woods? Shark, yeah. And he played a guy who was like a serial killer or something. It was very scary, like really effective on that show. Like it was a few episodes arc, and I was like, this guy looks super familiar, and I'm like, oh no, it's Cliff. It's Clifford.
But he really was a great like matinee idol kind of actor, and it's a shame that he never really did that sort of thing. Yeah. But then again, if you look at Timothy Dalton, he's also kind of gone into that sort of arena of playing villains and is enjoying it a lot more. For example, Alexei Volkov in Chuck. But also really, really wonderful as
Prickly Porcupine?
No.
I'm trying to stay in character.
What's the name of his character in Penny Dreadful? Malcolm?
Oh yeah. Just Malcolm, isn't it? I don't remember, but he was brilliant in that as well. It was actually
Malcolm
one of the
Murray.
reasons.
Malcolm Murray, because he's Mina's father.
I was watching it.
Yeah.
Was because of Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
And then Ava Green as well. And then I was like, oh, this is really creepy and really good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. Frank Darabont did some uncredited work on the screenplay. Good to know. Jan from The Office, played by Melora Hardin, is the singer at the South Seas Club. Did you know that?
No.
Well, she is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Now you recognize
it?
It
looks like her, yeah.
Yeah, it is indeed.
She looks like herself.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking when I was watching that? Is she's singing When You're Alone, right? Yeah. And she just looks very sad about it. Like, I'm very lonely myself, actually.
Yes.
Don't know why I said that like Noel Fielding, but anyway.
I'm very lonely myself. Yeah, I don't know why. The Nazi connection. The Neville Sinclair turning out to be a Nazi agent is based on the rumors that Errol Flynn was a Nazi sympathizer. The other thing is, I was talking in the pre-bit. That's what we call the bit before we go off and watch the movie. The pre-bit was that I found the Rocketeer on the bottom shelf of the local Blockbuster. The film was released on June 21st, 1991, and received positive reviews from critics. How could it not? It's brilliant. Plans for Rocketeer sequels were abandoned after the film was a disappointment at the box office, grossing a relatively modest $46 million on a $35 million budget. So it made a profit of $10 million, basically. I would say that that's due to the marketing of it, and I also think that I think audiences at the time had an issue with 30 set movies, because The Shadow was also not very successful.
Yeah. Do you think that it's a good thing or a bad thing that it was never greenlit for a sequel?
I think that as a self-contained adventure story, it's perfect as it is.
Yeah.
It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's got like kind of an opening at the end because Jenny retrieves the
plans,
Peavy's plans for the rocket pack, and he's talking about how they can rebuild it and make it better, etc., etc. Yeah. So there's always like an opening of like the Rocketeer will return, and they could have done that, but I would have said like if they didn't do it at the time, then that's it.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting very wary, and I know we're going to see Ghostbusters Afterlife next week, but I'm getting very wary of all of these belated sequels. And they're never, because there's so much time in between, there's always a nostalgia factor, and it's always a massive part of it, as opposed to telling a good story. And I think that these sequels need to be done sort of closer to the originals, with the same crew, with the same cast, to give a sense of continuation, to give a sense of continuity of flow, and also that obviously if it would have been shot in 92, 93, then it would have been shot on film, and nowadays it would have been shot on digital.
Yeah.
You can see the difference. For example, Joe Johnston got the job of directing Captain America: The First Avenger off the back of this movie, because they wanted to do something Rocketeerish.
Yeah.
As the movie has had kind of a renaissance in the last 10 years or so, or 20 years, or however long, that a lot of people remember seeing it as a kid. And there's a lot of fun memories, and a lot of like new audiences are discovering it nowadays. So he got that job, and they shot it on digital, and you can really see the difference between the two movies if you look. And that I have to imagine that's what a Rocketeer sequel made nowadays would look like.
I also think that anything without that cast is gonna bug me.
That cast is
perfectly
all of the supporting characters. You've got Malcolm, played by Clark Kent's dad. from Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. I don't have his name written down here, but yeah, it'll come back to me.
Good that you came prepared. Go on.
Yeah, no, it'll come back to me. You've got Jennifer Connelly. You've got the great Alan Arkin.
Sorry, I say that, but you should see he's got like 17 million pages sitting in front of him. So I think it's just an unfair thing to say. But go on, I'll dig in the ribs.
It is indeed. You've got the great Alan Arkin, who's just brilliant. You know, every time I keep thinking, you did think of it, Clifford. You thought of it and then you said it. I love Alan Arkin.
Gross point blank connection.
Gross point blank, indeed. At some point, we should do that as well.
Yes. Did we say that during Ghostbusters?
We probably did. Because
we said bing, 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 popcorn. And then...
yeah, well, there you go. I say it again. And I think that, who else have we got? You got Tiny Ron playing Lothar. Oh, there we go. Bit of trivia for you.
Go on.
I told you about the bloke who says "big gopher."
Yeah.
And I wanted you to look at the guy standing on his right.
Yeah.
That is Tiny Ron, aka Lothar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out of makeup.
Okay, I see what you wanted to do. Okay, I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
Good looking bloke.
A couple of awards.
Oh yeah, go on. I got one.
Okay, obviously.
Morning, boys.
No. Okay, morning, boys.
Morning, boys. Gets an award for sure.
Yeah, that's Millie in the final scene. Yeah. My one is okay. So this is sort of a mixture between an award for best extra and trivia corner.
Go on.
So it's the guy that says it's the Rocketeer in the South Seas Club. The actor's name is Rick Overton. He's a friend of Joe Johnston's. They met while Johnston was doing special effects for Willow.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked it. Joe Johnston asked him to come down to the set just to visit, and before he knew it, he was in hair and makeup and costuming, and he had that immortal line, which fans of the movie, if you say to them, the guy that says it's the Rocketeer, everybody go, oh yes, that guy. Trivia corner bit. He was also the maitre d' at Bridges Restaurant in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Cool.
He's the guy that said, no, he hasn't arrived yet. Would you like a menu, Mr. like that guy. So he's throughout that entire scene. Yeah, absolute legend. The difference is he's got a beard in that movie, and in The Rocketeer he does not. And obviously, you cannot give awards for best extra without giving an award to the guy who says, big gopher.
Right.
Big gopher.
I wanted to give an award to the pilot. The German pilot. It's like, do not worry, Mr. Sinclair. My pilot is the finest pilot in all of Germany. And then Lothar comes crashing through the window and knocks the pilot out of the blimp. It's just like, I've never noticed that before.
It's brilliant.
It's really funny.
There are a couple of things that you never noticed before, Simon.
There's a couple. The first one was, you pointed out that PV pulls the... you said, it's all PV's fault from this moment on, right? Like,
right. So
he pulls the...
Yeah. The context here is, for anybody that's not familiar, pilots used to chew Beeman's gum as sort of good luck. At the beginning of the movie, Cliff puts a piece of gum on the tail of the plane, and PV gets pissed off with him because they've just given it a fresh coat of paint, and it's a new plane.
Chewing gum ain't gonna keep your butt up in the air.
Damn it! You want me to crash? And just as Cliff is pulling away, you see PV like rip the gum off the tail and throw it away. That's something I've always seen, and you've never noticed that. That's very interesting. Okay, and that's me for Trivia Corner. Trivia Corner, and awards. Okay, over to you.
Right, would you like to just before we go into the attic, interesting things that I did notice is that when Cliff he presses the button on the rocket pack for the first time, and PV says, I wouldn't do that if I were you, right? There's a 2-second shot of the fan inside behind the casing of the rocket. you see it turn on and whiz to life. And I was just thinking, like, why would you put an insert like that in? Like, wouldn't you just, like, show the, the rocket, like, exploding with fire or something? Like, if you wanted to put in a shot like that. I was, like, thinking it's really cool that they're showing that this is, like, a working mechanical piece of machinery. It's like, it was just that tiny little bit of world building that they didn't have to do. It was just interesting to me. And then when Cliff puts the rocket on for the first time, you kind of hear the hero theme, but then it immediately transitions to the Nazi one. So it's like, this foreshadowing of this is actually a weapon, right? It's like that he puts it on and he's all excited, and there's this like, and then it like transitions into the Nazi theme, which is kind of, the Nazi agenda, like later on in the movie when you see the the animation. I wanted to point out that you can also see cracks in Sinclair's facade already in his very first scene. Right, where he's starting to lose his temper a little bit.
Right.
Like, yeah. But
I mean, it's made obvious from the very first scene that he is a naughty, naughty man.
But the question I wanted to ask you was, did Neville Sinclair stab Charlie on purpose? Wasn't that what I said at the beginning? And you said you think you know what it is that I'm going to say. Was that what you thought I was going to say?
That was what it was. Yeah.
So, do you think that he stabbed him on purpose?
So this is something that the last time I watched the movie, I think maybe a year ago or a couple of years ago.
It's about once a year that we watch it.
Something like that. Yeah. I checked this out because it's always baffled me.
Okay.
Oh, Charlie, I had no idea.
Did you think I was stealing the scene?
So that's the thing. What I have dug up, probably from random users on Reddit or something like that, but what I've dug up is that, yes, possibly he was stealing the scene, and that's why he stabbed him.
It happens off camera. You don't see it happen.
It happens off camera. I'm not sure why exactly that's included. There's no build up for that. There's no payoff to it.
Don't talk. Don't even move.
Yeah. I feel that...
Because he says that line... The reason that it made me ask the question is he kind of says that line with a little bit of venom in there. Yeah. It's very, very sort of... If I had to go for a no prize, which is an explanation that doesn't really... It's got no basis in fact. It's just my opinion. But my no prize here is that he did it on purpose, because he's the number 3 star in Hollywood. And he wants to rise higher than that. So he's taking out the competition.
The competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think that aside from that, as I said, there's no build-up or payoff. I think it's the only piece of information in the movie that might be considered superfluous.
Yeah.
The rest of it is very considered and very deliberate. So,
well, that's what I'm saying, is because the rest of it is so deliberate, right. I think this is too. I think that this is a moment to make you question whether this guy is...
So I'm wondering if there's a deleted scene or a deleted script page somewhere that might give a little bit of extra background to that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give a special mention here to James Horner because last week we talked about Alan Silvestri, and my goodness, is James Horner's music is like a character in the movie.
Yeah, it really is.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
I've written up here is opening titles and music - shivers every time.
Right. So the thing about David Horner, fuck me.
What's wrong with you tonight?
I have no idea. The thing about James Horner is that the main theme is romantic and nostalgic.
Yeah.
Whereas normally you'd have something a little bit more up tempo up front, like a march or something, or an adventure theme that gets varied throughout the film and is modified to become a romantic theme. But this score has the romance front and center, and it's like a sense of nostalgia. I think for the even if you didn't grow up in the 30s and 40s, you have that feeling of sort of boys' own adventure.
Yeah.
Not boys' own, boys' own. There's a sense of nostalgia and wistfulness, like a yearning for childhood. Yeah. Like you can hear like the very final line in the movie is the two kids running around playing Rocketeer and going Rocketeer to the rescue.
Yeah.
And that just basically sums up the entire movie for me.
Yeah.
It's like being a child at heart and pretending to be the hero that saves the day. When I was a kid, it used to be there was a girl I fancied in my class at school, and I would want to to, I would like sort of fantasize about rescuing them so that they would notice me. That's the...
Right, well, it was nice doing this podcast with you. We're about to get cancelled.
Why are we about to get cancelled?
I don't know, because you have opinions about things, and
No,
when you were a child,
it's a
you
very
thought
innocent
things in your
thought.
head. I
It's
don't
a
know.
very innocent
How
thought.
dare you think things in your head? Internet police are on their way. Let's just sit here, take off our trousers, and have our bums pointing upwards.
What? Oh my god.
I don't know.
God. Here I go again.
This is why we can't do this at night. This is why.
Okay.
Oh,
I think it's
my.
fucking hell. All right, I think it's time you took us to the attic.
Just give me a minute.
Okay, we apologize for that breakdown. That's the second time that this has happened since we started this podcast. Oh, come on. I apologize, dear listeners. This is highly unprofessional. Okay. Would you like to take a trip up to VFX Attic, or are you? Do you need to be carried out on a fucking stretcher?
I don't know what's going on.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even know what I'm laughing at anymore.
Breathe.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm
Okay.
really trying.
Okay.
Before we go up to VFX Attic, it's time for another word from our sponsors.
Road Rage, the video game sensation that's driving the nation insane. Experience road rage from the comfort of your own living room. Get cut off at traffic lights, get honked for no good reason, get overtaken from the right and have your parking spot nicked just as you are going in. Road Rage, a white-knuckle fist clencher of a game. At all good retailers now, except for the one nearest you. All rights reserved, all copyrights apply, any and all breaches of which will result in severe penalties that include but are not limited to burning, freezing, waterboarding, fingernail pulling, nipple clamps, electrocution, tasered testicles, and a smack on the bottom.
Smack on the bottom.
Yeah.
Very good.
There we go. Those are my ads.
All right, just I'd like you to wear these rubber gloves.
Why am I wearing rubber gloves?
It's best if you don't ask. Join me in the VFX Attic. Where else can you see VFX in an attic other than VFX Attic?
Jesus.
Thank you, Bartholomew. That's just my zombie butler. Try one of the foot biscuits, Jonathan. They're delicious.
The foot biscuits.
Biscuits. The visual effects supervisor for this film is Ken Ralston. Now, I actually have a bit of a mea culpa myself. Apropos your Dan Stevens, Dave Stevens
Oh my goodness.
Forks Pass.
Yes.
Is that Ken Ralston was actually the VFX supervisor for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like, we mentioned the guy who was in charge of the optical printers, and we mentioned, Richard Williams. But Ken Ralston was actually the VFX supervisor for that. And just a little bit of background, because there's a lot of movies that we're going to watch, and his name's going to come up a few times. In 76, Ralston was brought on to create the effects for Star Wars. And he remained working at ILM for 20 years before joining Sony Pictures Imageworks as president. But he's best known for his work in the films of Robert Zemeckis, which is the in-universe connection. He was VFX supervisor on Roger Rabbit, Forrest Gump, all the Back to the Future movies, and many more. So a little bit about the VFX in The Rocketeer. There's a lot of blue screen work. Whenever, stunts can't be done by a human, the visual effects department were called on to create a stop-motion replica of the Rocketeer that would be put on a motion-controlled rig. And what that basically means is there's like this sort of rod that they would put... They created a stop-motion puppet, right? Stop-motion is basically when you have... if you've ever seen Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas or any of the, different stop motion, animated, claymation, Wallace and Gromit, animations. Beetlejuice as well used a lot of that. Basically, stop motion is where there's a physical model, right, that has a rig inside it. It can move. Oh, Johnny's going again. Just gonna power through. So basically, when impossible stunts were called for, the VFX department were called on to create a stop-motion replica of the Rocketeer, and it was put on a motion control rig. Now, stop motion obviously pioneered by the great Ray Harryhausen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's Ray Harryhausen, say?
The pioneer of stop motion. This is ridiculous. If everything I say is going to set you off, we're never getting through this. Right, you keep laughing, and I'm going to keep going. So
right,
stop motion.
Power through.
Stop motion is basically the art of taking a picture, every single frame, and as each picture progresses, much like with animation, when you draw it, each picture changes from the last frame. So basically, it's the same as animation, only it's physical. It's in the real world. So some of the advantages of having stop motion as your chosen sort of medium is that you can light the scene, and you'll build the set, and you'll light the scene, and you can have the camera move through it. And oftentimes they would make these shots on motion-controlled rigs, and basically the computer would have a lot of information stored in it, and how fast the rig should move, how fast the rod should move through the scene, whether it should dip up and down, and they would sort of, much like how we talked about in the Ghostbusters episode with the animatronic Slimer, how they had all of his facial expressions put into a database. So it was kind of the same thing. They'd control how fast the rod would move, and the camera would move through the scene, and every single frame it would take another picture. And in each frame, they would change the movement of the characters or whatever it is. So here, Gene Bolt worked on the creation of the puppet of the Rocketeer, and stated that getting the look of the leather material of his jacket right was especially important because she said if you don't get those sort of details right, the viewer will know that something's off. You have to scale things down. You remember how when we talked about in Ghostbusters, how instead of having the water be water, it was just sand coming out of a fire hydrant, right? Because water scaled down doesn't look the same, right? So they had to try and find a way of making it work.
A very high frame rates.
And using something that sort of made it look like from that distance that it was still water.
Right.
And so, she said that what they did was they used latex sheets to recreate the look of the leather so that it would move and stretch but still wrinkle in the same way that leather should, but scaled down to that size. She's saying that, a viewer will know that something's off. They won't know to pinpoint exactly what it is, or you will if you're in the industry, or if you know exactly what it is that's bothering you. And this is something that I talk to my students a lot about when I'm teaching them 3D, and I'm trying to teach them about creating tiny little details like fingerprints or scratches or the wear and tear that you get on things, and making sure that you look at metal and what it looks like and trying to recreate its actual look, is so that you remove as far as possible that idea that someone's going to look at it and go, this doesn't look right. Because even if you're seeing it from very far away, something's going to, look wrong to you. And so what they did with the Rocketeer is they had this puppet on a motion-controlled rig that would decide how fast he would fly in and out of frame, how far away he would come from the camera. Once that was programmed into the rod, the stop-motion animators would come in, and every frame they'd tweak the look. And you'll notice it's very, very fluid, very talented animators doing this. You've also got the smoke trails behind him, which look very cartoony. I still can't
tell. I still watch the movie and I can't tell which of the shots that are stop motion.
I think I can tell most of them. You can tell where the shots are of a real person because I can point them out to you if you want. But for example, when he comes in towards the plane, and lands on it, that's a real person doing a stunt on a blue screen, right? But when he's flying at speed past the camera and his legs are flailing about as if he's being pulled along by the rocket, that's something they couldn't do, and a person cannot naturally move like that unless they are actually being pulled along by a rocket. Right. So those are all the scenes where it's stop motion. It's very, very convincing. But yeah, I love the VFX in this movie. You can still see the seams and the blue screen or whatever, but
we're
it's
talking about 1991.
It's not something that bothers me because it really works with the era that this movie is set in,
right?
And all of the sort of just like the visual style of the movie is very interesting. There's some interesting lighting stuff that's going on. I know that we don't normally talk about lighting and set design that much, but it's really interesting how the first thing that you see of Lothar is this pink lighting and the tea and the sort of, I don't know, doilies or there's something going on in there. That always, when I was a kid, I always used to think of an old grandma sitting in that chair. And it's very creepy when you kind of juxtapose that with who Lothar is and what he's going to do in the movie. And it's, it's really quite creepy that he's listening to opera and that the lighting's very sort of light-hearted and feminine, and then like later on in the movie you've got that green sickly color that sort of covers the Bigelow death reveal. So there's like I'm sorry, we've sort of gone out of the VFX but more into the design, but I think that those decisions are very deliberate and they get across exactly what you're supposed to be feeling.
I think also because the movie in general has a very sort of 30s serial influence.
Yeah.
And they obviously for the animated sequence, the propaganda film, it looks very much like a child. What? What?
I was just thinking, I'm really glad that we're past the laughing bit. Sorry, I'm good. I'm really good. Go on.
For the propaganda film, the cartoon.
Oh yeah, I couldn't find any information for that.
But you can see where the influence is. It looks like one of the Fleischer cartoons, the Superman cartoons.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a very sort of deliberate kind of design influence there from German expressionism, which was very prevalent in movies of the 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
you can see the use of shadow. And the use of slightly Dutch angles and the Art Deco. And also, as you were saying, the sort of the primary color lights that you can see a lot in those kinds of
also in Neville Sinclair's
comic books and cartoons, etc.
Scene, you see that a lot with like the pink lighting and Actually, interesting is that when we meet Lothar the first time when we see that scene, is that happening in Neville Sinclair's house?
Interesting. It's very possible.
I just, maybe he lives with him. Maybe. Roomies.
I've never thought about that, actually.
Yeah, no, but it's funny you mentioned the animation, is that when looking up, anything about that, I couldn't really find who did the animation for that Nazi agenda scene, but suitably creepy and off-putting. And also, I think both of us found this, that there was an auction in 2021 of the original storyboards for it, which are very, very close to how the final animation came out, which is not surprising, seeing as when you make something and there's a storyboard, you kind of go off what the storyboard's telling you to do. So
right.
Well, there we go. That's it for me in VFX Attic. So, VFX Attic.
Okay, just be careful on your way down.
Yeah.
And I wish.
What do you think of the foot biscuits?
I won't eat anything that's shaped like a foot.
Oh well.
Or is it an actual foot, or is it shaped like a foot?
Well, he won't tell me, but Bartholomew assures me that the blood is exquisite.
Oh.
I do have some tidbits. Would you like to hear some of those?
Yes, please.
Bits of size tidbits. Lamont Cranston, the Shadow.
Oh.
Which is one of the if we talk about sort of like the trio of movies that we started with The Phantom, so and in that movie we mentioned in that podcast we mentioned a few times.
Sorry.
In the first podcast we did The Phantom, and we kind of mentioned a few times we wish we were watching The Shadow or The Rocketeer. So that character's name is Lamont Cranston. While never mentioned by name, is the mysterious character that helps Cliff in New York in the comic. The clues to his identity are his red ring, trademark twin pistols, mysterious appearing and disappearing, the constant focus on his blue eyes in certain panels, and his line, "I'll be sticking to him like a shadow."
Well, that's kind of on the nose, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but they never actually say that his name is Lamont Cranston. They never
Right.
say that he's the Shadow, and he's never seen in his Shadow garb, which is
Lamont Cranston.
pretty cool. Lothar in the comics actually knows Cliff and has a vendetta against him for accidentally causing the death of a circus performer, because he and Cliff were in the circus together, who Lothar was in love with. Neville Sinclair is not in the comics. There's a couple of Nazis in there who chase Cliff down, and I think one of them may have like the kind of moustachy sort of thing that Neville Sinclair has, but I don't think it's him, and I don't think anyone is based off him. So that's the end of Size Tidbits.
I just wanted to talk in general about the movie, because I realized we went straight into Trivia Corner, so how does this movie make you feel in general? Like, you watch this movie, you get a flood of memories. It's all nostalgia. We're peddling nostalgia here on this podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's one of the trio. It's, in my mind, it's the best of the trio. Tend to think that the Shadow is the best of the trio.
I think I may have said that in the Phantom podcast, but it's difficult because they're both very different. They're both stylistically very different, and I think that their approach to what a hero is very different. I like the Shadow a lot because of Alec Baldwin, and his performance in that movie, and also the Shadow's powers are really, really cool. Yeah. But there's just something about this movie, man. I don't know. It just raises me up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it just makes me. I hear the music and I get that like wide-eyed, Rocketeer to the rescue, kid kind of thing. Like I just get there and I know exactly what's gonna happen. But Neville Sinclair and I just like, oh god, are they gonna get out okay? And oh god, he's a bastard. That scene where Cliff is walking through the goons to rescue Jenny, and he takes off the helmet, so he's no longer the Rocketeer at this moment. He's Cliff, right, with a rocket on his back, and he's walking through these guys. Is very much a moment where it feels like he is the Rocketeer. Like it's not just about him putting this helmet on his back. Like he is a hero. He's gone to rescue her and to take down these Nazis and.
Because he's a very flawed character as well. In the comic books, he's even more flawed. Because he's kind of painted as a bit of a loser.
He does a lot of tripping up and pratfalling and stuff. Like even in the field when they're testing the rocket, he when the rocket's coming back, he does this little thing where he trips up and almost
right. So you're saying that moment when he walks through the goons is when that switch
turning
happens.
point, exactly, because he's very stable after that. He's very he's in control of the rocket. He knows exactly what he's doing. He grabs a gun and goes after her in the balloon. It's I feel like that's his character turning point. It's also just a really cool moment.
Yeah. From that moment on, it starts to become a little bit. It has that kind of that cheesiness that you just can't help but love.
Yeah.
And that it's cheesy, and that it's that's sort of like apple pie Americana, etc., etc. You have Eddie Valentine played by the great Paul Sorvino. You have the the sort of the mob guys and the FBI guys. Killing Nazis, like mowing down Nazis with machine guns at the same time together.
That little smile that they share is really crap. It's cheesy.
It's really cheesy, but I love it. It's all that kind of like patriotism, and then you see Cliff as the Rocketeer standing next to the American flag before he takes off after the Nazi Zeppelin. But I love that. I love the sort of the general kind of gee whiz attitude. I love the dialogue. And I've said this to you before about the that whole exchange about your buddy's being fitted for a pine overcoat. Yeah. Like I love that. I love that image.
There
I don't know why.
There were a couple times where I turned to you and I went, "Did he just say?"
Yeah. So the one that you mentioned to me was we searched the place from hell to breakfast.
I'm glad you wrote that down.
And the other thing was that the mob guys come in saying to Million and Malcolm and all the people in the cafe, that they're looking for Cliff Secord and they want to give him a job, right?
Yeah.
And he says, "There's a lot of lettuce in this." I love that. And the FBI guy, when he goes like, he hangs one in my kisser and you let him waltz. Like all of these, like,
maybe you had it coming.
I love these sort of these 30isms, I guess. They're really
a lot
fun.
of fun.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the Robin Hood pastiche. It's a great scene.
It really is.
Obviously the title card at the beginning says Los Angeles 1938. The Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn was released in 1938. And they're doing a scene up a flight of stairs that is almost identical to the flight of stairs in the final battle between Errol Flynn and Basil Rathbone in The Adventures of Robin Hood. So he's basically playing Robin Hood.
Errol Flynn.
Yeah, Errol Flynn, yeah. And it's just a great scene, and it reminds me of another movie with a scene like that it's just so accurate, and that's The Majestic. Frank Darabont's The Majestic. Yeah. It's a movie that doesn't get a lot of love, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. Yes, it's a little bit saccharine. It's a little bit sentimental, but it is it's a romantic drama at the end of the day. Jim Carrey giving a great performance, and there's a scene in it which Jim Carrey plays a writer in late 40s Hollywood. And the movie that he gets blacklisted by the McCarthy witch hunts. And the movie that he's written is called Sand Pirates of the Sahara. Mm-hmm. And it's got Bruce Campbell as the kind of Errol Flynn style character. And it's just this great kind of swashbuckling epic that they've created from the ground up, in black and white on old film stock, and the sound also is like it's just, and it's just so.
I've never connected that that's Bruce Campbell. I don't know why. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. Should watch it again.
We should watch it again. I wonder if maybe if we had like a sort of platform to sort of watch movies and talk about them.
I see. That was clever. Very clever.
Very good. Very good. But yeah, it reminds me of that in the same way, because the way that it's done in this movie is so on point and accurate. And I love that. And the music as well is, James Horner does a great job with the music in that sequence. So that's a lot of fun. And the other thing that I noticed was there's a woman in the fish tank of the South Seas Club, and she's there for the entire. Yeah, she's in there the entire time. And how is she breathing?
Yeah, I was looking for breathing apparatus. I don't think I saw any.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Maybe, I don't know, Jonathan.
I don't know.
It made me wonder. Like, is she being punished by the mob? Is she dead? That would be dark.
No, she's moving around. She's moving around.
Never mind then.
Unless she's being puppeted. That's dark.
Well, there you go. That's dark. That's chaos.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I love this movie. I think it's there are a couple of tiny little flaws in there, but I don't give them the time of day. I think that it's a brilliant movie, and it should have gotten a lot more recognition and a lot more love. And I wish it had. I wish it had made a lot more money. Not necessarily because it deserved a sequel. I think maybe it did, but not because of that. I think just because a great movie should be rewarded.
I agree with you.
And look, I mean, Joe Johnston is a fantastic director. I mean, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was his debut. Yeah. If you watch that movie, it's so assured. He's got such a steady hand. And he just kept it up from there. Jumanji.
Yeah. Oh God, what a good movie.
And the Wolfman, it actually doesn't get enough credit. I think that's a good fun movie as well.
I wish that they could recapture this feeling that sort of movie was, capturing in that time. But I think that we're just in a different place, and I don't need them to remake this stuff. I don't need them to retread it. I have these movies. As you can see, I'm 30 years old and I'm still enjoying watching them with you. And it's like, I don't need them to remake this stuff.
Right. I have to wonder, if you didn't grow up with a movie like this, if you watched it now, would you get the same kind of feeling?
Well, Shosh likes it.
Right.
She left halfway through because the baby started crying. But, she has watched this movie with us before and she likes it. She doesn't feel the same way about it. I don't think she feels that way about many movies, but it's like she she really enjoys it, and I don't know. I wonder as well.
Yeah.
If anyone, but because I don't care. I like
bringing it back around to Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm reading reviews. There are people who grew up with the original and watch this one and get that sort of the sort of warm fuzzies. And there are people who have seen the original, didn't grow up with it at the time, and are sort of nonplussed by it.
Right.
So it does make me wonder. It's a question that I'm sort of wrestling with every time we do one of these.
Well, I mean, listen, you have like Force Awakens, right?
Right.
Which was entirely geared towards people who had grown up with the original Star Wars trilogy. And,
so that's the thing. I love that movie,
right.
and I
really like it too.
I never had that feeling of this is a retread. I never felt that way.
But the thing is that The Last Jedi, which is where they're trying to change things up and make things weird and whatever.
Right.
And I'm the unpopular opinion in the room. I don't like it. But it goes towards that whole, either you're a fan of the franchise, and you're really enjoying what they're putting out there, or, you don't really care about Star Wars. Oh, this is interesting because it's like, more like what you'd see nowadays. And I think that the charm of something that is a remake or a spiritual sequel or a sequel or, whatever it is. Reimagining is that it's paying respect to something that came before and therefore is going to have that fan service. And I don't have a problem with that, personally.
Right. I feel like studios are obviously trying to make as much money as they possibly can, and they're using as many of their IPs as they possibly can in order to do so.
Yeah.
I really wish we had more Last Nights in Soho's,
new
and things
IPs.
like that. Which is, by the way, a movie that I'm dying to see. But it looks incredible, and you've got people like Edgar Wright and yes, Christopher Nolan as well, who are making movies that are challenging and new and interesting, and I think that that this whole idea of capitalizing on nostalgia is something that, also due to toxic fandom, also due to fatigue, is something that I hope is going to sort of fizzle out in the near future, because the entire market is saturated with them. And while again, as I said, we will be in the front of the queue on opening night, clamoring to see these movies because we are the target audience. Because all of the people who grew up at the same time that we did are the people that are making the movies nowadays and making the decisions. I'm 38, and probably the heads of major studios are around the 40 mark or the 45 mark. So that's what they're gearing towards. And I'm wondering at some point if that's going to break. It'll just be interesting to see how the landscape changes in the coming decade, I guess.
There's an interesting comparison that you can make between the movie industry and the game industry, I think. And if this is bollocks, you can cut it out. But the thing that I've noticed is that you'll only have those big directors who've proven themselves to have created new ideas with, success, where they're given the free rein to do what they want, to make these new movies. But you're not going to get certain directors who go, hey, I've got a new idea. They're like, no, it just doesn't. But in the gaming industry as well, you have okay, if you're an indie developer, then you have a lot of freedom to do what you want. But a big studio like Naughty Dog that brings in a lot of money, they made the Uncharted series and the Last of Us series. They can turn around and they can say, hey, we're going to do a new IP. And Sony will go, yeah, okay, because they've proven it, right? And so, it's interesting to me that we are so heavily baked into this mindset of remakes, and it's mostly because I think that studios are just scared to take a chance and let people try something new,
right?
Because what if they don't make the money that they want it to make? And that's a risk that you're going to run, but you can't only rely on these big budget CG fest, is my opinion.
Right. But the interesting thing is that in the 80s, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the people that were making those movies were influenced by their own nostalgia.
Yeah.
You take something like Gremlins, it's Joe Dante was made also The Howling and Inner Space. He's always like very influenced by the creature features that he grew up with in the 50s. But those filmmakers were able to use their nostalgia as a jumping off point to create something new that was influenced by their childhoods. Whereas nowadays, what I'm seeing is a lot of filmmakers are just taking the movies that they enjoyed in childhood, or rather, I wouldn't say filmmakers, I'd say studio execs, taking movies that they know people enjoyed in childhood and just remaking them or sequelizing them or reimagining them or rebooting them or whatever, which is not the same thing. But what's interesting about the 80s and the 90s is you've got people like Steven Spielberg who would take somebody like Robert Zemeckis under their wing and produce their movies.
Yeah.
And sort of allow them to express and to make big budget movies. Joe Johnston as well. Spielberg took him under his wing. Spielberg is responsible for a lot of our childhoods, even the things he didn't direct. And then you fast forward to now, and you've got like producers like directors like J.J. Abrams producing movies like 10 Cloverfield Lane. By first-time director Dan Trachtenberg, and that's a great movie, and I don't think I don't think it would have gotten made if it hadn't been a Cloverfield connection, and if it hadn't been J.J. Abrams producing it and sort of handpicking it to come and do it. So yeah, it's I'm just very interested to see where all this goes.
Me too.
I think we have time for one more word from our sponsor.
Jonathan's toenail fetish is supported by wheel traps. Ever walk down the street thinking about naked butterflies only to have your skin jump right off your body because some wanker has just beeped their horn for no good reason? Well, look no further than wheel traps, a repurposed bear trap on a spring that shoots out of the steering wheel. Mediocre scientists agree this product is a third proof. Guaranteed this technology will only activate when it detects any asshole unnecessarily honking their horn. Purchase one flimsy paper bag of wheel traps and affix it to the steering wheel of said wanker for maximum face cutting off quality. Enter coupon code PINEOvercoat and get a free vial of Easy Car Bloodstain Remover to complement your purchase. Wheel traps, guaranteed to make you horny.
And a great big thank you to our sponsor, Wheel Traps. Well, I think that's it for us for this episode.
Absolutely, that was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next week with Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Adieu.
Adieu.
What's our seat number?